A few days ago on the channel, we talked about the most successful WWE pay-per-views of all time. From WrestleMania 28 to the Invasion show, it was a fascinating dive into the most bought shows in the company's history that really showed what the fans connected with over the years on pay-per-view. But now it's time to take a look at the other side. It's time to take a look at the shows that failed to get the fans to spend their money. From pay-per-views that didn't meet expectations to straight up flops and to, of course, the top 5 least bought pay-per-views of all time, we got a lot to talk about. Let's get straight into it. Let's start off by talking about the disappointments. These are shows that were not necessarily total flops or got horrible buy rates, but are quality shows that had good cards on paper that honestly should have done better than they did. And we begin with Survivor Series 2002, which did just 340,000 buys. Survivor Series 02 is a very iconic show, right? This is a legendary show from MSG, the first ever Elimination Chamber, Lesnar losing the title for the first time. This is a classic show in every way, but when it took place, it failed to get the buys it deserved. This was back when Survivor Series still kind of meant something, right? So this was still a big for a classic pay-per-view that more often than not did 400,000 buys. The year before they did 400,000 plus buys, the year after they did 400,000 plus buys, but for some reason the 02 edition just failed to sell. 340,000 isn't bad, but with that star power, a brand new match type, this being a 200,000 buy drop from SummerSlam 02, it was rough. And I guess you just have to chalk it up to people didn't know what the an Elimination Chamber was. And to be fair, it does sound like something out of Nazi Germany, so I don't blame them. But you know, you add in the fact that Big Show was in the title match, like, alright bro, a disappointing number for sure for a show that definitely deserved better, for an all-time classic. And surprisingly, this is going to be a common thing, because you know what other show did a surprisingly disappointing number? This one hurts to say, but Money in the Bank 2011, which did only 205,000 buys. Yo, this one hurts. Money in the Bank 2011 is another iconic legendary show. From the main event to the banger ladder matches, this is a top 5 pay-per-view in terms of quality for many wrestling fans. And for so many of us, this was such a hugely, insanely hyped up show because it took place after the pipe bomb. The pipe bomb was something that lit the wrestling world on fire, and to this day, you'll hear people say, yeah, the pipe bomb brought me back to wrestling, but it's like, how did this show only do 30,000 more buys than Capital Punishment? That stupid ass show. Which look, 30,000 is still a really good increase, and cracking 200,000 as a non-Big Four show in 2011 was great, but this number always just felt kind of disappointing. Like, this didn't even beat Extreme Rules 2011. It's not a bad number, it's not a flop by any means, just a tiny bit disappointing, and I guess more shocking than anything. One show that has always been considered a disappointment in terms of buys since the numbers came out that I actually disagree with is sadly SummerSlam 2013 with 332,000 buys. Once again, a classic pay-per-view with banger matches, a universally beloved show, disappointed in the buy rate. I'm gonna be honest though, I don't think 332,000 is a disappointment. I think it was a solid number. It was still the third most bought show of the year. You had a new star in the main event. In my eyes, it did solid, but the reason it's here is because Vince McMahon later in 2013 went out and called it a disappointment on an investor's call and said, SummerSlam was not the right attraction, you don't knock them all out of the park, that one was a swing and a miss. Which to me just shows that the expectations were just way too high for this. Yeah, it was a drop from SummerSlam 2012, I get that, but it still did better than SummerSlam 2011, but in the eyes of the company, this was a disappointment. But moving on, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about the pay-per-view flops, shows that honestly were just straight up flops. And might as well start off with the most shocking flop of them all, WrestleMania 19, which did just 565,000 buys. Yo, listen, how the hell do you have a WrestleMania that has Rock, Austin, Hogan, Lesnar, Triple H, and everyone else do less buys in the Rumble that year? How the hell do you put together one of the most stacked cards in wrestling history and do the lowest Mania buy rate since 1997? What the fuck was this? This buy rate will never not be shocking to me. Not only did this end up being an amazing show, even going into it, to me, this show was so good on paper, yet it flopped. I'm never gonna understand it. Over the years, I've done a lot of research and looked into this to see why this happened, and many theories and opinions have been shared. Many have said that the overemphasis on Vince versus Hogan led to the low buy rate, because a lot of the promotion for this WrestleMania did make it seem like Vince versus Hogan was the main event, and then a lot of people didn't want to see Rock versus Austin for the third time. It was predictable that of course Rock was gonna win, but it's like, okay, I get that, but still, 560,000. Listen, I don't care if the main event was my mom versus my dad. This show should have done at least 750, at the very least. But nah, one of the biggest flops of all time. And honestly, in terms of flop, this is the biggest flop of all time. I think it's pretty clear now that the quality of the show doesn't matter, because the buys come in before the show even takes place, and sometimes, as we can see, their card on paper doesn't matter either. Sometimes people just don't want to spend money on the product, and that was evident in 03, because even after WrestleMania 19, The next month they had another flop with Backlash 03 doing just 345,000 buys. Now at first I was gonna put this under disappointments because 345,000 isn't bad for a Backlash, but this was Goldberg versus Rock, okay? This was Goldberg's first match in the WWE, his first US wrestling match since 2000, his basically debut match in the company against The Rock, Mr. Hollywood, and they did the 4th worst buy rate of the year? Wait, what? Now granted, not having a world title on the line probably didn't help. Poor Booker T, man. He never got that leg back after WrestleMania. But still, I gotta say, this was a flop, not a disappointment. People just didn't want to see Rock versus Goldberg. It's as simple as that. I don't think it's because, oh, Goldberg is not a draw. They just didn't want to see Rock versus Goldberg. Goldberg's first show back should have done a huge number, but it was just, alright, 345,000, yay, boo, woohoo, great. And to me, I always wonder, what if they were just like, yo, fuck it, let's do Goldberg versus Triple H for the world title, Backlash 03, his first matches for the world title, and he actually wins the world title. I really wonder what the buyer would have been then, because when they did do Triple H versus Goldberg, even after they kind of ruined it at SummerSlam 03, they still did 365,000 buys at Unforgiven. Imagine what they could have done if they did it right away at Backlash. They 100% would have touched 400,000 plus. Before we move on though, ladies and gentlemen, here is a vintage flop from 1997. Did you know, fun fact, WrestleMania 13 did only 237,000 buys. This is the lowest WrestleMania buy rate ever. The company in 97 was pretty solid, right? But early 97 was still kind of rough after the fumes of 1996 were still there, and Undertaker versus Sid as your main event, yo, that's an ugly sight. But yo, still 237,000 buys for a WrestleMania. What the hell was wrong with them? To put that into perspective, WCW's pay-per-view the same month back in March of 97, Uncensored 97, which didn't even have a world title match in the main event, did 325,000 buys. A random B-tier WCW pay-per-view outdrew WrestleMania. This just shows how ahead WCW was in 97. Yo, WCW really blew a 3-1 lead in the finals, didn't they? But 237,000, it's pathetic, and it's a shame because Brett versus Austin, they deserved all the buys. On a side note though, you know what pay-per-views always did poorly and really surprised me? The Taboo Tuesday / Cyber Sunday shows from 04 to 2008. Yeah, they all did pretty fucking bad. Really bad. I used to adore these shows as a kid, okay? To me, these were so magical, so special, and so fun, so fascinating. The possibilities were endless. Sometimes. Gee, I wonder which one's gonna win. Yeah, you know what? Maybe I was just a little slow as a kid, but just the idea was so cool to me. It was just such a fun time, and honestly still is. They should really bring this back. But the sad reality is, these shows every year just did not sell whatsoever. Taboo Tuesday 04 is pathetic because this show did only 174,000 buys, the lowest of 2004, the lowest pay-per-view buy rate they've had at this point since 1997. And what makes it even sadder is it's not just the buy rate, this is one of the lowest attended pay-per-views ever. Wait, no, I forgot. No, this is the lowest attended pay-per-view ever. Only 3,500 people were in attendance. You know how sad that is? Okay, do you know how sad that is? That's like P. Diddy baby oil bottle numbers. What? How was a pay-per-view in 04 only in front of 3,500 people? And why was this show in an arena that fits 18,000? Ric Flair was out here bleeding all over the ring for no reason for 3,500 people and 170,000 people on pay-per-view. How sad do you think Triple H was when he had to do his water spit thing into the camera and there's just like darkness behind the camera? 05 the next year flopped again, and it was like, okay, maybe it's just people don't want to buy shows on Tuesday. That was legit their reasoning on why Taboo Tuesday flopped, which never made sense to me because it's like, what difference does it make if it's a Tuesday or a Sunday? People watch Raw on Monday, like what difference does it make? So they moved it to Sunday, and you know what? Color me surprised, it actually worked out. Cyber Sunday 06, they did see an improvement, but by 07 and then 08, it just went down, and by Cyber Sunday 08, they did 153,000 buys. What? How can these shows that are controlled by the fans, controlled by the people, do so bad? Is it because nothing important ever happens on the, yeah, that's probably it. But still, you know what, I don't care. I blame the 08 buy rate on Big Show and his fat ass and his stupid match with The Undertaker. It's all his fault, GG, I don't care. But okay, let's move on to the top 5 worst bought pay-per-views in WWE history. Oh man. So this is the bottom of the barrel, the worst of the worst, the least bought shows in the company's history, and we're talking about legit 3-hour pay-per-views, okay? No international shows, no 2-hour in your houses that were only $14. No, these were full price, $30+ shows, full-length pay-per-views, and at number 5, It's Over the Limit 2011 with 145,000 buys. Listen, any show that has Michael Cole versus Jerry Lawler in a Kiss My Foot match, what kind of nasty ass shit was it, deserves this buy rate. And first of all, whoever has that nasty Michael Cole foot fetish backstage needs to be shot. Second, why is Chavo taking on Sin Cara? Is this an episode of Superstars? And yeah, I don't think by this point anybody wanted to watch John Cena versus The Miz again in an I Quit match. I hate this match, by the way. This was such a typical PG era, like, just clown fest. I can't. 145,000 buys for this, no surprise here. At number 4, it was Bragging Rights 2010 with 137,000 buys. I watched this show live actually. Did I order it? Hell no. Shout out to First Row Sports, all the old heads remember. By 2010, SmackDown vs. Raw meant as much as like those stupid clickbait GTA 6 leaked videos we used to see all the time on YouTube. But by this point, Nexus was down so bad, it wasn't even funny. Adding old men trying to bury each other alive, this was rough. And after a great SummerSlam 2010 buy rate, which did 350,000 buys, everything just kept declining, and by October, this show felt the damage. Rest in peace Nexus, they put Cena's career on the line, or either Wade Barrett was going to become champion, one or the other, as the main event stipulations, and nobody cared, and only 137,000 people tuned in. Just dark times. Number 3, Vengeance 2011 with 121,000 buys. Yo, when Alberto Del Rio versus John Cena is your main event of your pay-per-view, how mentally insane do you have to be to actually expect people to pay for it? This show was a trip. I remember the ring break, so I remember Big Show versus Mark Henry. I don't remember anything else from this show whatsoever. Apparently CM Punk and Triple H teamed up together. What? Hey Punk, I'm gonna bury you at Night of Champions after your little Summer of Punk, but then let's team up together. What in the blue hell was this show? But still though, I thought with Triple H, Punk, and Cena and Orton being on one show, you would think they would do over 121,000 buys, but nah. Number 2 on the list, Battleground 2013, 119,000 buys. This show had one awesome match, right? One just amazing match that can make a grown man cry. Curtis Axel versus R-Truth, duh. Okay, Rhodes Family versus The Shield, Dusty's job on the line. Great match, all-timer, amazing, right? But this show had nothing else. People actually paid to watch Punk versus Ryback in 2012, surprisingly. They did some good buy rates. It was now 2013. They did not pay anymore. And the main event of the show was the biggest slap in the face of the fans. On paper, it's like, oh, it's Daniel Bryan versus Randy Orton for the vacant WWE title. That's not bad. I'm sure people are going to tune in for this. No, this was a slap in the face. This deserves the second worst buy rate ever because, guys, everybody and their mom knew going into this that Bryan was not winning the title. You know why? It's Battleground. Bryan had just got screwed at SummerSlam, right? Do you really think he's gonna win the title back at fucking Battleground 2013? It was so obvious that he wasn't winning. It was so obvious some stupid ending was gonna happen, some clown show, and guess what happened? Well, it's a big show. If I ordered a pay-per-view in 2013 and the Big Show in Big 2013 interfered and ended, I probably would have jumped out of my window. Honestly, if anyone watching this ordered this show, please comment below. If you're one of the 119,000 people, please comment below. You might be entitled to compensation. But at number 1, to the surprise of absolutely no one, the least bought pay-per-view in WWE history, ECW December to Dismember 2006 with 90,000 buys. Yo, I'm surprised this got 90,000 buys. Okay, the jokes aside, the funny thing is, I'm not gonna lie, as a kid, as a stupid kid, I actually really wanted to order this show. Extreme Chamber sounded kind of cool, it sounded violent, it sounded kind of fun, but thank God my mom said no, because listen, we all know how bad this was. ECW at this point was dying and dying fast, and this was a final nail in the coffin. And when you sell a pay-per-view with only 2 matches announced in advance, it's not gonna be pretty. You know what though, what makes me happy is that after talking about all these classic shows that were disappointments in terms of pay-per-view buys, that were flops, blah blah blah, at least the worst bought pay-per-view ever in terms of WWE is arguably the worst pay-per-view they've ever produced. At least it works out. 90,000 people actually bought this. This should have got max 50,000. What a time. Who bought this? I want to know who bought any of the shows in the top 5. But yeah, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. These are the biggest disappointments, the biggest flops, and the worst selling pay-per-views in WWE history. It's surprising, isn't it? I don't think many people expected Survivor Series 02 to be here, or WrestleMania 19, or, you know, Money in the Bank 2011, but they are. Those shows deserve better, but hey, it is what it is, right? Once again, though, I probably missed a few, so if you ever want to do your own research on the best shows, the worst shows, or if you ever just want to nerd out and look at these figures, just go down to the description, click on the link, and the world is yours. In the comments down below though, let me know, what is the worst pay-per-view you ever bought before back in the day? It could be WWE, TNA, I don't care what it is, just let me know down below. And also let me know if you guys made it this far, if you're interested in me doing a video where I rank every show that I ordered as a kid back in the day. I think that might be a fun idea, so let me know if you guys want to see that, alright? But yeah, it's your boy Pav, and I hope you guys enjoyed the last 2 nerdy little videos I've made. I can't wait to keep making more. Thank you guys for the support, thank you guys for the love. I'll be back with more content coming very soon. Until then though, see you guys later, okay? Later guys.